Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about compounding. If you don't know what compounding is, I only mentioned it and name dropped it more times than Thanos was in the MCU. If you didn't get that joke, it's because it's a Marvel joke and I found it to be a marvelous joke. Anyways, I'm just trying to crack some jokes before we get serious. So what is compounding? Compounding is basically you start with possibly a small, big number, doesn't really matter, and over time that number keeps getting bigger and bigger, and as you add more to it each year, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There's kind of that one little joke where if you hear about a guy goes to bet a king and he has a chessboard and there's 64 tiles on a chessboard, and he starts with say 1 penny and he adds 2 pennies and 4 and 8 and 16 and so on and so forth to the power of 64th. It is like in the absolute trillions, and it's like next thing you know it's the whole castle, the kingdom, all the horses, grains, and pretty much everything. That's pretty much the magic of compounding. If you had a penny and you say added more to it every single day, in less than a month you would be a millionaire. Pretty darn crazy because you start with just 1 penny. That's the power of compounding. And in my video Invest Early in the Stock Market and Why You Should, I said that age is a big importance because you have more time to utilize the compounding factor. So in that video I basically said that if you had $1,000 and you invested it over the span of 50 to 60 years, you'd probably have in the tens of thousands of dollars. Anyways, I was actually curious after I said that, and I was bored, and I decided to painstakingly calculate 60 years compounding at 10%. And honestly, the numbers were pretty staggering. So I figure I share with you guys, and I didn't want to waste my time, the 20-30 minutes that I spent painstakingly multiplying all that stuff together just for fun. So guys, I thought I'd make an interesting video. So without further ado, let's get to it. So if you had $1,000, that's it, just $1,000, and you got a 10% gain for 60 years, what would that number be? I'm about to show you. I'm going to show you every 10 years. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and you can see the numbers, and I'll talk about them in between and at the end too. Also, I want to say that if you think 10% is kind of crazy, I actually looked into this. The S&P 500 for the past 40 plus years has on average given a 10% gain back, which I found pretty damn crazy when you think about it. In that time, there was a 2008-2009 financial house prices, meltdown, which the stock market completely sank, and not to mention the crash in the 80s. And yes, that is taken into account, both of those, and still the average gain throughout all those years is 10%, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. It makes me feel pretty confident in the stock market. So on year 1, pretty simple, you got $1,000. Simple as can be. Next, we're going to move on to year 10. So after 10 years of compounding at 10%, you're gonna have $2,357.74. Honestly, guys, not that big of a gain. It is still a over 100% gain, but really, it's 10 years, so not that significant. So let's move on to 20 years here. So at 20 years, how much money are you going to have? At 20 years, you're going to have $6,114.90. So again, pretty good. In another 10 years, you've almost tripled your money. So there you just over doubled it. Now you're tripling it. So let's move on to 30. So you got 30 years. So halfway to 60. And at 30 years, you can get $15,860.10. Not too shabby. Again, you more than doubled your money from your $1,000. You're more than 15 times your initial investment in 30 years. But now, These 30 years are a friggin' joke compared to the next 30 years. Year 40 is a kind of big one. At year 40, you're gonna have $41,136 and I'll add it, 37 cents. Pretty darn intense, guys. So in 40 years, you've now 40 times your money. You've 41 times your money plus. That's kind of crazy. You've more than doubled your money here from 30 to 40, but it's pretty big gains, as you can see. In 10 years, you only made 1,000. Here, you only made like 4,000. And then there, you made 11,000. Now here, you're making, what was that, 15, 30, 26, you're making about $26,000 there, guys. That's not bad. That's pretty good in 10 years. So now year 50. That is an ugly 5. But anyways, I don't care. Moving on, year 50. So at year 50, in case you thought the other numbers were crazy, this one is $106,000 and $696.07 for good, and 70 cents for good measure. So $106,000, guys. $106,000 from just $1,000 in 50 years. I know you have to wait 50 years, so if you're 20 years old, you're going to be 70, 30, you're going to be 50, and whatnot. But still, $106,000, guys. And then the big whammo. Year 60. The last year I decided to calculate. At year 60, it is a substantial jump. And I mean substantial. The money you're going to make in year 60 is $276,000 and $743. $276,743. Look at that, guys. From year 1 to year 60, you made over $275,000 off of just putting $1,000 into the stock market. $1,000. I mean, just really, guys, when you actually think about what could you buy with $1,000? What could you buy with $1,000? Possibly in the States, you could buy a new iPhone, maybe the 8, maybe the 10. You could probably buy, 4 or 5 really nice pairs of shoes, some Jordans, got to get those fresh kicks. What else could you buy? I mean, you can't buy a car, you can't buy a house, definitely not. You can't really buy, you could buy, groceries, you can probably pay for your rent, you can pay for your bills, you can probably pay for your car payment, you could put a down payment on a car possibly if you buy a very cheap used one. I mean, what else could you really do with that money, guys? Like $1,000. You could buy a PlayStation, you can buy an Xbox, you could buy a computer, not a great computer, but you could buy a computer, definitely not a MacBook. But, you could buy like a cheaper PC, but you definitely cannot buy a really nice car. I mean, $276,000, that's a lot of money. You could buy a lot of things with $276,000. I mean, the only real downside to this, guys, is yes, that is $276,000 compared to $1,000. It is an absolute crazy return on investment. However, you have to look at the time. And the time is 60 years to get that. So, if you're 20 years old, you're really not going to get rich until you're 80 years old. And that's not even like rich, really. It's just you have a decent chunk of change. So that's going to take some time. However, you have to think that this is only $1,000. Yes, this is a 10% return, which is very good. However, if you're an active investor, I think you could beat it. I have faith in you, and I know you could beat it. At least most years. If you average yourself out, possibly over the next 60 years, I think you could beat that return, especially if you invest for 60 years. So guys, the more important part of this video is, yes, compounding is a beautiful thing. However, I want to more make this video for the younger investors out there, because people who invest know about compounding and they know about these theories. It's kind of eye-opening to sometimes see them when you do the math. However, I want to make this video for the younger investors out there. If you guys are thinking about investing, you should honestly take the first step. Like I tried to show, with $1,000, it doesn't take a ton of money. You don't need $1 million. You don't need, say, like 100,000. You don't need 6 figures plus to invest. You don't. I mean, I started with about $6,000, and then I liked it, and I ended up adding a little bit more money, and I ended up adding double that, and I had $12,000, and that was the money I had in my first year of investing. I've added more money ever since then, every single year of investing, and I continue to add more, and I absolutely love it, and it's great. And honestly, guys, if you do your homework and you don't just blindly throw money into stocks, you should always do your own research and never, ever, ever take for granted what someone else says, because even if I believe in something, I am only human, unfortunately, and I am wrong sometimes, not most of the time, but I do tend to be wrong here and there. So I wouldn't blindly follow me. I would listen to what I have to say and just kind of go from there. But guys, honestly, it doesn't take $1 million to invest. If you had $10,000, you could 10 times all these numbers. Right? Doesn't take a rocket scientist to do that. So if you want, you can 10 times this number and you're in the millions. You're in 2.7 million territory. So I'm just trying to show guys, it doesn't take a fortune, and the younger you will be very happy when you're older, and the older you will thank the younger you for being smart. And guys, take control of your money and make your money make you money. Make that passive income and make yourself live a better life. Don't live the work grind, and don't work for active income your whole life. Life is too short. You need to enjoy it while you're young and take advantage of time so you can use compounding longer and make more money. And it's all about them gains, right? Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please do give it a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you want, you can smash that subscribe button. That would also be hella friggin' sick. So please do that while you're at it. And please do comment down below what you thought. If you thought these numbers were maybe going to be bigger or smaller, you don't really care. You're like, moving on, next. If you want a stock you want me to review, or if you got a question in general, shout it down in that comment section. Till next time, guys, see you later. Have a great day and take care.